Hey now. We're only 24 hours late. That's fine. It's fine.
Can't stop addicted to the shindig.
Hey now. Welcome in to that often imitated, never duplicated, original, live, unfiltered, unedited, uncensored, commercial-free San Jose Sharks podcast. That is the Pucknologists. Just a few more weeks to wrap up here, part of Teal Town, USA. Do the like and subscribe thing. You know how it works. If you don't, then you probably shouldn't be here. So
No, you can be here anyway. It's fine.
That's true. We welcome all comers. Oh man! All right. The what had happened was the Sharks went 1-2 this week, and that one was huge. We were all juiced. We were all LFG. My bad. Beating Toronto for the second time this season in a highlight-filled tilt at SAP, completing a season sweep. And then the Sharks played back-to-back games, losing both by a combined score of 14-2. Yeah. Well, we also have a player signing, a player debut, a player's first NHL goal, the arrival of the Steve Dangle Podcast Network. Numbers to prove that 1 versus 8 debate. I'm gonna die on this hill.
Are we doing this again?
But all I'm gonna do is I just have one thing to say and then we'll move on.
Because I'm sure I'll have a rebuttal. That's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. The Barracuda, but if you thought the back-to-back that the Sharks played over this weekend was bad. Whoo, the Abbotsford buzzsaw came a-knocking. First, though, we're going to start with that game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. We got, Cam Lund making his debut. I guess that's the one positive you can take out of this one, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, a couple things on this. Out hit 26-5. That just blew my mind when you look at the final score and everything. But to fully open scoring, you got Graf with his 4th shorty of the season, which, oddly enough, they're second in 3 games after Eklund had a shorty versus Carolina last week. But once again, in true Sharks fashion, unable to hold a lead multiple times, somehow pull out a shootout win. As all 3 Sharks, who was it that it was? It was Smith. It was Celebrini. Who was missed? There was somebody that they missed at the beginning, who I guess scored.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Nylander? Was it?
I think so.
Okay. So, and F you to NBCSN. I mean, I don't understand how you guys continue to fuck up. But, I mean, Jesus Christ, I don't understand how you blew that one.
Yeah, I don't know because obviously I have to watch the Sportsnet feed because I don't get to choose my feed. So if there is a Sportsnet feed, that is the feed that I'm absolutely watching, unfortunately. So I got to see the whole shootout.
Well, I mean, and you could hear Randy, like they come back to the broadcast late, and you can hear Randy is like, oh, apologies, with Nylander has already scored, and so and it was just like. And I could just imagine Randy he's just fucking seething.
Oh yeah,
sure. Especially with a game like this, the way that it was so weird and back and forth. But great to see, obviously, Celebrini and Smith both score while Matthews and Marner don't.
Yeah.
You don't see that very often. Big thanks to the Dangle Podcast guys, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But I just wanted to shout out them for this game. Seemed to be a big push to use the phrase the most fun last place team you'll ever see or whatever. And so
boy, did that fucking blow up this week,
dude. And that's the point. It's like, and what was the encore? And you're like,
yeah.
Oh, it was like, man, that smell.
Are you having fun yet?
Yeah. That thing, that carcass you're smelling, you're just like, oh, where's that coming from? Oof. Anything else on the Toronto game before we move on?
No, I mean, like, again, I think it was fine. I think if you're the Leafs, you're probably a little concerned by games like that. Look, at the Leafs should have, like, the Sharks have no business hanging with the Leafs. They've beat them twice this year so far.
Figure that out.
But obviously, like, a similar story, obviously things kind of go very south very quickly at the end of the third period to force overtime, and then they end up in a shootout. But I mean, all in all, like, it was still, it was a fun night.
Oh,
That was fun.
absolutely.
Like, yes, at that point in time, the most fun last place team ever in the history of ever, apparently. But wow, did they really try that for the rest of the week? Because I didn't have very much fun after that.
Seeing that the Greyhounds just won in overtime.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, that was the highlight of the week by far. Imagine Dangle and those guys coming in, and it ends up being either like, some sort of like 5-0 laugher for Toronto, or it's just some 1-0 snooze fest. Like, at least the game was entertaining as hell.
Yeah, it was a fun, like, it was a fun game to watch. It was entertaining. I mean, obviously, again, and then you get into the shootout, and it's the it's the Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini show. Like, you can't draw it up any better.
Yeah, and that's the shootout where anything can happen.
Yeah.
All right, then New York comes in. The Rangers just they're still pissed off about the Hurdle 4-goal game, right? So
Oh yeah.
the Rangers.
I think the Rangers are mad about a lot this year.
Well, and to be fair, last I looked, they're fighting for a wild card spot, right?
Yes.
Aren't they? Yeah. So
yeah. I mean, everyone has games in hand on them. Last time I checked, let me just confirm that as I look at this right now. I need to switch this back to wild card. Yeah, look, everyone has games in hand on them. The Senators have a game in hand. The Montreal Canadiens have a game in hand. The Columbus Blue Jackets have 2. Detroit has 1. Like, everyone that's chasing them has games in hand on them. So they're going to have to really start peeling off some wins here if they're going to make something of this, because they're out of runway.
The Rangers teed off on the Sharks. A pair
Which
from
they did, yes.
yeah, a pair from Panarin, a pair from Fox. Former Sharks Johnny Brodzinski getting one on the board. And I was like, fuck, I had forgotten about that, dude.
Me too.
All right. The only good news coming from this game, Cam Lund gets his first NHL goal in just his second game.
Mm-hmm.
And the only other good news is that I'm assuming Celebrini has car insurance.
I hope so.
Because if the game wasn't bad enough, the Rangers, after the Sharks got thrown under the bus, they backed it into Celebrini's Range Rover, and I'm still yet to see confirmation if that is the 18-year-old's Range Rover or if that was like a jumbo loaner. Because oh man, you come home, sorry, Dad, scratch the car. I mean,
poor Mac.
What was it about this Rangers game?
I mean, I think, look, at the Rangers are pissed off. A lot has gone wrong for this team. This is a team, you got to remember, this is a Rangers team that was in the Eastern Conference Final last year. This is a team that going into the season, right? Yeah, this is a team going into the season that people thought were a serious Stanley Cup contender, that has had everything kind of just go wrong. Now
that'll teach you to let go of Barclay Goodrow.
Well, that's it, right? This is a team where there was a lot of acrimony because of moves they made, right? Jacob Trouba, really popular guy, and they basically forced him out of town. They forced Barclay Goodrow out, and I think a lot of that, and I think that they tried to force who is it? Trouba. They tried to force Trouba out of town, and they didn't. And I think that was a mistake. Like, either do it all the way or don't. But they couldn't because of his no trade situation. And I think it just kind of festered and kind of just soured the room. And then you start losing on top of that, and not really playing up to where people think you should be playing. And guys didn't have a good thing. And then as Puck Guy's pointing out here, the game before they were up 3-0 against Anaheim, and they let Anaheim back into that game and win. Like, this was a pissed off team coming in, and the Sharks coming off of being the greatest, not the greatest, the funnest last place team in the history of ever. Probably not a good combination, because the fun pretty much stopped starting with this game, didn't it?
Yeah. Fun used to be always. Now it's kind of like it's there on haphazardly.
Yeah, like
It was not there last night.
No,
There was no fun to be had.
no, absolutely not.
So after getting PP smacked 6-1 by the Rangers, LA said, "Hold my beer. Watch this."
Yeah.
Denault and Kempe each score in the first. Then Cam Lund scores for the second time in as many games. There was hope. And then drop it in right now, 2 minutes later. The Kings would score 6 unanswered. And somehow Vlasic comes out of this as a +1. the only player with a positive rating, dude. I don't even understand that. And to top it all off, the Kings, with their 27th home win this season, setting a new franchise record. I mean, in between all the injuries and everything, it's just, but God damn. I mean, you still have like your top guys. It's not like Celebrini, Smith, and Eklund and Toffoli are injured.
No, but I mean, you're playing this is another team, right? This is a team that right now is facing down another series with the Edmonton Oilers. And I don't want to play these guys 4 years in a row. But second, if we're going to do this again for the fourth year, I want home ice, right? So I look at them, that's a team that desperately needs home ice. They need something to try and change their fortunes against an Edmonton team that's probably going to buzzsaw through them again.
Yet again. Oy. All right. Besides Giles and Cagnoni being sent down, Thompson called up earlier today. So anything more from this last week to get into?
No, I mean, not really. I think it was, right. And I think you look at this situation, like, I think, we did learn some things this week. That if the blue line is mostly the Barracuda blue line, that probably doesn't bode well for playing NHL games. And we'll talk about the Barracuda later, what that means for them. And I think I've always said that I like Georgi Romanov, but I don't know if there's an NHL goalie there. I just don't think there's an NHL goalie there. There's too many goals that just went through him yesterday. Like, and again, I think, you look at the game in New York, and it's hard to pin either of those on the goalies given how the team in front of them played. But I don't think there's an NHL goalie there at all with Georgi Romanov.
Well, look, what else happened this week? The most fun, of course, being the visit from the Dangle Podcast crew.
Mm-hmm.
We can't say a big enough thanks to them, and thanks to the Sharks for being able to set us up with some time so we could have them on the After Dark following the Toronto game. It was really cool. You got a feel for Dangle. I mean, that guy was just like blabbing 24/7 over the course of that, where it was he's doing something, a live hit at the tank, he's doing a live hit at the Tech CU the day before, and then he's doing LFR, and then immediately taking an elevator to come up and talk to us for like 20 minutes. The one thing I really want to call out, though, go check out their interview that dropped this morning with Dan Boyle. Oh my God. That is the interview I would love to get from players. And it's why we never talk to current guys, because they can't be that candid and honest. They're still repping a brand and the team message. The funny thing, though, was they also did their normal podcast earlier today, their first one being back in Canada. And, and they had some really nice things to say about the Bay Area. And there was, a lot of Lavix and, what is it? Fat guy in the corner or whatever. But the whole food thing, they called out some of it. But what was really funny is Adam's going, the Dangle Podcast Network, they had some really nice things to say about Jonathan Becker, and they're like, first time we've ever had a team president on the podcast. And I'm like, really? Like, you got like 140,000 subs. We haven't even hit 4,000, and we've had them on like half a dozen times. Like, get it together, Dangle.
Yeah, but here's the difference, right? Like the Sharks, here's the difference, right? And like the Toronto Maple Leafs are one of they're probably the most popular hockey team on the planet.
Sure.
Right? The San Jose Sharks, not so much, right? So I think it's a different situation, right? Where obviously I think the Sharks and I do give the Sharks a lot of credit for doing this because they've been generous with their time with us, and with the other podcasts too, right? Like they've and they've always a lot of other markets would look at our sub numbers and be like, we ain't wasting our time on you. Like, what the fuck are you guys? Like, like you're a minnow in a puddle. Go away.
And that speaks volumes to Becker's accessibility and
and I think it's the Sharks have done a really good job of being accessible. I think like there are times where I do beat up on this organization here, but I think one thing that I will always say to their credit is that they do, maybe they don't always do right by their fans, but I think they try.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that teal curtain can be a little much to deal with some days, but for the most part, I would say that they're probably one of the most, if not the most accessible team in the Bay Area and possibly in hockey.
Yeah, and I think that, I think that they've realized that also, like, here's the thing, when you're Toronto, right? Like everyone, like they've got a whole there's a national sports network up here that's going to talk mostly Toronto. They're supposed to be a national sport, but they're Toronto, right? Like the San Jose Sharks don't have that.
Yeah.
Right. They have to reach out to, they have to work with other people that are going to do alternative things like us. And, because the mainstream coverage up there, like you do, like, obviously, Pashelka does yeoman's work with the newspaper up there. Mm-hmm. Right. And, and Shang too. But I mean, you're not getting you're not getting the in-depth talk on, outside of very few mainstream platforms. Like you're getting Pashelka, whatever Pashelka puts in the newspaper. You're not getting an hour of Sharks talk anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, and
that's not a podcast.
And to your point, like the San Jose Mercury, like 25 years ago, or 30 years ago, back when papers were like a thing, right? Mm-hmm. We would have the San Jose Mercury would have one Sharks article, and then there'd be 3 different people writing about the 49ers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. So, but I mean, I'm not. But I don't want to say I don't want to come out here and like put down what Pashelka does, because I think what Pashelka does is very important.
I think he's the best.
He's great, right? And I don't want to demean that though. Like I agree. Yes, is Pashelka talking about the Sharks and 4 other people talking about the Niners and 7 people talking about the Warriors and 8 people talking about the Giants? Yes, probably. That's probably a thing. But if you're the Sharks and you want to actually have like someone who's going to actually talk about your team, then you're coming to us. You're coming to JD. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, and I'm with you on that. But that was my point. Is like in Toronto, I'm sure that there's like 18 different beat writers,
Oh yeah, but they don't have to go on a podcast because they've got the national news cycle.
Yep,
focused
all
on them.
the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I'm with. And what's really funny is that I actually stopped at like my favorite pregame spot before the game on Thursday, and at the table next to me, I said hi to Mark Purdy, formerly a writer for the Mercury, who was having dinner with David Pollock, also former writer for the Mercury. So evidently, if your last name starts with a P, you can write for the Sharks, write about the Sharks for the Mercury.
There you go.
But yeah, I thought that was really cool. Have you seen the Boyle interview yet?
I haven't. No, I haven't.
Oh my God, dude! I just want to share my favorite part. Is he was asked about kind of like coaches that like, really like basically a favorite coach and like maybe like a not so favorite coach.
Sure.
And he basically talked about Tortorella, that, if you had a thick skin like Dan Boyle does, he could be a good guy. Like he would get on you and he talked about this one time. He's like, they're doing video review, and they're showing like the last game, and he's got the laser pointer. He's circling like there's like a minute 20 left on the power play, and Boiler's coming off, and he looks over at Boyle and goes, "What the fuck are you doing? Stay out there!" It was just, and he's like, Boyle was saying, I was having a shitty game, passes weren't crisp or anything like that. Yeah. He goes, so I thought I was helping out the team, and Torts was just like, "No, dude, you fucking need to be out there." And then it was, then they asked about, oh God, who was the horrible coach? Help me out. I know some people in the chat. Starts with a G, I thought. What is it? Mike? He's known to be a asshole coach. Old school. We're talking like 90s.
Like Keenan?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Keenan. You're right. I'm pretty sure it's Keenan. Like 98% sure it was Keenan. But he says, then it was, dude, you could see it when Boyle says his name. It's like, who was a coach that not so much? He's like, Mike Keenan,
Yeah.
And he said at one point, I can't remember the other player that he was playing with, but that guy, I guess, was playing like Keenan did not like the way he was playing. And he's screaming at the dude, like, you fucking suck. And then Boyle's like next to him, he goes, "You fucking suck worse." And Keenan and Boyle's like going, I'm not playing. It's just like, I haven't been on the ice. What are you talking about? So my point being is that's what I would really enjoy doing. Like, that is something that I would like to focus on after this season is like next season, trying to, get in contact with whether it's Jumbo, I don't know, would be interested, but maybe there's, a couple former players that, boy, if you can just get them to kind of loosen up. And you can tell with Boyle, because he says it a couple times. He's like, I'm not working for anybody.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like, he's not on a network. He's not doing TV. He has no fucks to give.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh my God, I appreciate that so much. And we need more of that.
Yes.
Anyway, Tank Watch. It's getting tight. It is getting tight. Dude, the Sharks just 2 points back now. The Sharks are at 49 points after 73 played. 14 rows really, there's a six difference, so that really doesn't come into play. But the Blackhawks, 51 points with 74 games played, so 2 more points with just 1 more game played. It's just amazing. Like, they have 1 more win, the same exact losses and OTLs.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing that is a kick to the balls. According to Tankathon, the strength of the schedule, I'm not sure if I'm reading it right.
What is their schedule?
So
I'm going to take a look right now.
Well, the Tankathon, the schedule, the Blackhawks, it has listed at 6th. So, and then the Sharks at 18th. And so what I'm taking that to mean is that the Blackhawks schedule is 6th hardest out of the remaining, teams, whereas the Sharks is 18th. So means that the path that the Sharks have is slightly easier, which makes you go, oh, fuck.
Yeah, like I'm going through the list, right? Actually, why am I doing this? Let me just bring up this stupid After Dark thing. Like, what am I doing? All right, so if I'm looking at our After Dark list of games remaining here, so it was Kings. So next we have the Ducks, the Oilers. I think the Oilers, like, that's a game that's gonna suck. But there's a lot of meh here. Like, there's a lot of non-playoff teams here. Like, other than the Oilers and the Oilers again, like, maybe Calgary. Like, Calgary, let me check where they are. I thought Calgary is on the outside looking in. Like, there's a lot of on the outside looking in the Sharks' remaining schedule. You have the Ducks, the Kraken, the Flames a couple of times, the Wild. Wild are obviously in. So I mean, it's like you have a lot of meh in their schedule. Like, it's there's a lot of non-playoff teams in there, or teams that are fighting for playoffs that could get in maybe, but
Yeah, it's It's going to be real tight. But how funny would it be if the Sharks now? And if I remember correctly, Chicago. Or what's the first tiebreaker? Is it Rose? If they finish with the same points.
Head to head, I think it would go down to because of
well, the Sharks lost.
If everything kind of stays the way it is now and they're tied and everything, like all things are equal, I think it comes down to head to head. But
and Chicago, if I remember correctly, has the advantage. They won 2 out of the 3 games, didn't they?
Yeah. Oh, regulation. Yeah, but it's like the regulation wins would obviously be first. But I think if we're just pretending that this is going to stay exactly the same and they're just going to finish the exact same schedule, I think it would come down to head to head, but I'd have to go in.
It's going to be tight. But how funny would it be is that if it got down to it and it's, they have to go from this tie, like they have to go 3 or 4 tiebreakers.
Yeah, they'd have to go down to the 5th tiebreaker.
Yeah, and then the Sharks,
which would be the greater number of points earned in games against each other among 2 or more tied clubs, and then it would be like goal differential.
All right, let's put this on the back burner. We don't need to go down this rabbit hole until like the final week, but it would be interesting.
It would be interesting, yeah.
Let's get to stock up, stock down. I mean, whew. Yeah, it's like there's some positive things, but you really got to want to see it.
There's nothing good here.
I'm going to give some love to Tyler Toffoli. Continues to lead despite not having what most people say should be a C on his jersey. 2 goals, 1 helper, only a -1 during a week when the Sharks allowed 19 goals.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Cam Lund. Dude,
yeah, Cam Lund's for me. Like 3 games, 2 goals.
Right?
You can't go wrong.
Yeah, 1 even, 1 power play. Hey now. Graf, a goal, an assist, even on the week. And but this is again, I'm gonna try to like wedge this in a little bit. I'm going to say Muka Madulin, no point. I was gonna say, hold it, hear me out. No points, -6. But led the team in time on ice, which either proves Warsaw really believes in this guy or it's a scathing indictment of the Sharks' defense, or it's both. I think it's both.
It's probably both.
Yeah.
I mean, this blue line is not good, right?
It's repellent.
It's bad. They basically completely pillaged the Barracuda's blue line at this point. I mean, now they've sent some guys back down, but like this blue line isn't good. I just think it's like, I don't know if it's, I think it's an indictment really that like if Muka Madulin's your guy, then things have gone really badly for the health of your blue line.
Okay. Tyga's saying that Mook had the worst analytics of any blue liner all week. Okay. So
he did.
Mook, you might have the honor of being the first ever winner of stock up and stock down.
Yeah, it sucks, right? Because I think it's a situation where your guys are going to have to play over their head and they're going to have to sink or swim. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of swimming and there's a lot of drowning happening, which is.
Well, I'm going to give one more stock up to Marc-Edouard Vlasic. The Sharks allowed 19 plus goals this week. Or 19 plus goals? No, I think just 19 goals. You're the only Shark to finish with a positive plus minus somehow.
He only played 1 game too.
And that's fine. But it was also the one that they let in half those goals.
Yeah.
Stock down. This is pretty simple, and it's a broken record. Giles, I've never mentioned before, and he got sent down, so it really doesn't matter. But it's like, dude, played 2 games this week. He was 3 for 10 in the dot. He got better in the next game, 4 for 9. But Goodrow, my man, 1 for 4, 1 for 3, 0 for 4. Like, we don't expect much. At least get to 50% in the dot, my man. I mean, those are horrible fucking numbers. Yeah. And then, you know what? Stock down on Macklin Celebrini this week.
Oh man.
My man did not have a good week.
No.
He went 50% in the dot versus Toronto, but 3 for 15 against New York. That's not good. 6 for 14. He got a little bit better against LA, but my man only had 1 assist, a -5 this week, and a bus hit his car. I mean, it was just
It's not his fault.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying it's not his week. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? Because this is the thing with Macklin Celebrini, right? And I think it's like the numbers don't lie. The face-off numbers aren't good, but I think it's also a situation where like he's again like you can't shelter this guy. This guy is going to take a bunch of face-offs against Toronto. He's going to be taking a bunch of face-offs against Auston Matthews and John Tavares, like guys that just absolutely crush in the dot. Anze Kopitar, right? There's you can't hide him from that. There's no one to hide him behind.
Well, and who was wasn't it Nico who just killed it generally for the Sharks in the dot? Yeah.
It's one of those things, right? Where I think it's like, yeah, it's just not good. And like, I'm not trying to say like, how dare you call him out? But I just think it's a situation where, it's like, but like,
I'm not, but see, for me, let me just illustrate. Stock down is just kind of like, this person's had better weeks.
Yeah. For sure.
And so that wasn't Celebrini's best week. And we all know the stock down bump exists.
Yeah.
A lot of guys come back, have a hell of a fucking week after we give them a stock down. But the other thing that did not help Celebrini's cause this week, like over the last 5 games, Celebrini 3 assists -5.
Yeah.
Hudson 9 points.
Yeah.
+2. I mean, dude, 4 goals, 5 assists. So
yeah, and one of these guys is probably going to play in the playoffs, and one of these guys isn't.
Well, we'll see. It could be close. It's going to be a close call, but
I can assure you, one of these guys is definitely not playing in the playoffs.
Absolutely. NHL Radio also starting to like hand out their shit a little early. They're already giving the Calder to Hudson.
Yeah, I get it. Look at I think that when it comes to Lane Hudson, the thing that everyone has to remember is he plays in the right time zone.
Mm-hmm.
And look at what he's doing,
and in the right country.
He's in the right country. He's in the right time zone. And I don't want to take. I'm not taking anything away from what he's done, because I think what he's done is absolutely fucking extraordinary. Like he's done really cool shit, right? And on a week like this, it does get a little harder to be like, yeah, Macklin's my guy for Calder because he still has more points per game. But he did have a quiet week, and then
Hudson had a big one.
Hudson had a monster week. Mitchkov had a monster week, right? And that's and then next week, Macklin have a better week, and the conversation will change again. Hopefully that's what happens, right? But yeah, I mean, look at what Lane Hudson's doing it as a 20-year-old on blue line. Like, again, I don't think that it's not good or not extraordinary. Like it's crazy.
Well,
but I just think what Macklin's doing at a younger age with less games played,
right,
in a far less ideal situation, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that's what I would go to. And, the last time that the Sharks, if I remember correctly, had a guy up for the Calder, and
it was Logan Couture.
Yeah, and he didn't win it.
Nope.
But I will tell you, who would you rather have over that decade from the award being handed out, Skinner or Calder? I mean, Couture.
Couture, yeah, obviously Couture, yeah.
All right, so what else? The Sharks signed defenseman Noah Beck. Because if you play defense at this point, I think if you just walk in with a hockey stick, they're going to be like, yeah, let's see one.
Let's go.
1 year entry level contract starting in the 25-26 season. The 24-year-old tallied a collegiate career best of 33 points, 5 goals, 28 assists this season with Arizona State, leading the Sun Devils Blue Liners in points, goals, and assists. My guy is 6'3", 205 pounds, and originally selected by the Blues in the 2020 draft, 7th round, 194 overall. You have any notes on this guy? Is there anything? I mean, is this going to be like some, Dan Boyle type, like undrafted phenom?
Look at the numbers are fine. The point totals are fine. This is one of those things, right, where the 2020 draft is always going to be a weird one because of the world in 2020.
Yeah, that Rona.
Just, yeah, like just going back to that and like the way like those two drafts I think are going to be we're going to go back and look at those drafts and wonder what the hell everyone was smoking for a lot of them, because you've seen a lot of even earlier on picks in that draft that have been switched teams now, where you normally don't see like guys taken in the first round moved around that often. And I think you look at the 2020 draft, the 2021 draft, and we've kind of seen a lot of like high picks already, moved on from teams. Yeah, I mean, look at this guy. This is going to be your typical, to me, this is your typical free agent signing, right? Like this guy was a 7th rounder, and obviously he played more years of college than the St. Louis Blues could keep him, so they couldn't get him to a contract. He becomes a free agent. I think it's
Greer's
fine.
just looking for warm bodies.
Yeah, I think it's fine, right? You're looking for size on the blue. I don't think I think this is going to be a depth defenseman, who maybe turns into something, maybe doesn't. It's an interesting swing. I don't hate it. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you like this guy's Dan Boyle either. Right? Like I'm not doing that.
All right.
Like we'll see what he does. Like it's a pretty decent production for college hockey. So I mean I'm intrigued. But I'm not getting super excited over a college free agent signing, because most of these guys end up being, mostly depth guys anyway.
Yeah. Before we get to kind of like around the NHL and stuff, I just wanted to point out the San Francisco Giants, now that baseball has begun this past week, the Giants are promoting the hell out of it being the 25th anniversary of the ballpark opening. And it got me thinking, I'm surprised that the Sharks never did that, whether it was for their 20th or 25th or 30th. When you consider what that arena has meant to downtown, how it revitalized the area where the Giants ballpark is, China Basin, was a shit show.
Yeah.
And it completely flipped that whole area. And the San Jose Arena largely did the same. So, like, I would like to see, I don't know.
I think it's because this is why I think that the Sharks wouldn't do it, is because like the Giants play. How many arenas have the Giants played in now? How many ballparks? 2?
Well, I want to say, I mean, in the Bay Area,
yeah,
I think 3.
Yeah, so there you go, right? Whereas the Sharks, like, you came in the league, we built the arena, so like 3 years in, you're finally you know what I mean? Like you'd be celebrating like, oh, it's our 25th anniversary, and now it's our 25th, like 2-3 years later, it's our 25th anniversary at the Tank. Like, I think that's probably why.
All right, I can give you that. Had they played, okay, all right, that makes sense. I like it. But speaking of the Giants, and oh my God, NBCSN, what the fuck are you doing to me, man? Every week, it seems it's something else. All right, so this is the graphic that I guess they're using for bumpers. I don't know that they're using as a transition graphic. Eric, help me out, because Eric is the one that sent this to me. Who the hell came up with this? The amount of people that had to have seen this and signed off. The San Francisco, where like the S in San looks more like the number 8, but why does it look like it's spelled San Francisco? Like I
mean, I don't know.
And are we going to print, or are we going to do cursive? Like, at least pick that.
This just goes to show why we need to teach people cursive again.
But how to spell too, maybe. I mean, I just don't understand how that got by I don't know how many people. And they said, yeah, run with it. Looks great.
You run with it.
I'm just telling you. All right. So, all right. Fucking hear me out. Hear me out.
Oh, yeah.
Hear me out. All right. And this is for everybody watching. I want to get your take in the chat. Now, last week, I mentioned LeBron tweeting out that he had asked Gary Bettman whether he envisioned talking to the Players Association about changing the playoff format with the upcoming CBA talks and going back to the old 1 versus 8, which I know Ian will emphatically tell you it was never 1 versus 8.
It was never 1 versus
okay,
8.
Okay. But commissioner says no, likes the way the format is. And I was very much like, well, it's not about you, commissioner. It's about what the fans and the players overwhelmingly want. And they want to go back. And you had made the point, it's about
the owners.
It's about, owners, but you also had said it's about travel time and time zones.
Which it is.
Okay. And so thank you for saying that because I ran the numbers. And
yeah, okay.
Hold on.
I will let you go.
Let me go. So currently, as it stands, in the West, it's, we know the matchup, Winnipeg versus St. Louis, that matchup would not change between the current structure and 1 versus 8. So we don't care about that one. But in the next matchup, currently it's Vegas versus Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Travel for that would be nearly 1,300 miles, and it's a 2-hour time zone change. Then the next matchup would be Dallas versus Colorado. That's 660 miles, a 1-hour time zone change. Then LA versus Edmonton, 1,300 miles, 1-hour time change. Total it all up, over 3,300 miles. Now, take that same, grouping, but now it's 1 versus 8. Again, Winnipeg and St. Louis, that doesn't change. Mm-hmm. But now Dallas versus Minnesota.
No, it's not Dallas. It would be Vegas versus Minnesota still, because Vegas would get second seed for winning their division, because that is how they would do it.
Oh, well, then I got to redo these fucking numbers.
I'm just telling you how it would actually work. Because people say 1 versus 8, but the division leaders would still get the top 2 seeds because the NHL cannot help themselves.
Okay, well then my push would be to go back to 1 versus 8, or not go back to go to 1 versus 8, because based on this, like, they would travel 400 less miles if you total them all up, and you'd have there'd be one would actually stay in the same time zone.
Yep.
Instead of a 2-hour switch.
Yeah, I mean, like the West is where like the time zones would obviously be. The time zones are never going to be an issue in the East because they fixed the conferences now, and all the teams that used to be like the teams that used to really get screwed by travel, like the Detroit Red Wings when they had to play the San Jose Sharks, like that's not good for anybody, that first round matchup, right? Because half of those games are in San Jose, which means they're on at 10:30 at night. So in the early rounds of the play, like in the later round of the playoffs, it doesn't matter because everyone has to bow down to the Eastern time zone gods as the playoffs progress and the games become fewer and fewer. The times are always going to be more friendly to the Eastern time zone, regardless of where the games are actually being played.
Well,
San Jose, Pittsburgh.
The funny thing though is that like the West is pretty set, right? At least by the teams. Like as you were saying earlier, like you've got that battle royale between LA and Edmonton for home ice. But in the East, it's funny, a couple days ago when I was putting this together, there were some matchups and those have been totally thrown out the window. And so I went from like, okay, this totally supports my argument to, this totally fucks my argument because Tampa and Florida would be are now facing each other, whereas 5 days ago it was Tampa versus Toronto. I'm like, now that's a flight.
Yeah, that's a flight. The thing is and the thing about time zones is, right? And it's like right now, with the way things are kind of lined up and with the teams that are currently making it, it's fine. The problem is when you end up with, like, let's say the Pacific Division has a resurgence, right? And then you have like San Jose versus St. Louis.
I don't have a problem with that.
Of course, yes. The people on the West Coast don't have a problem with it because they have the Western time zone is so much better to watch hockey in. The Pacific time zone is just the best, like, from someone who's lived there and someone who's lived it, like, it's the best fucking place to watch hockey.
But
it really is.
But
because you get to watch all the games and you still go to bed at a decent hour.
But the thing that does kind of chap my ass a little bit is that since they made the transition, when the hell did this happen? Was this back in 2004 after the lockout? Or was this like the 2012 thing? I
think it was 2012 because and what they were hoping for was kind of like, which is funny because if you look at the Eastern Conference playoffs, like what they would be if we had 1 versus 8, it would be Washington, Montreal, which is kind of meh. But you have like Toronto, Ottawa, and Tampa and Florida. Like this is why they wanted the division system, right? Because they wanted those geographical rivalries to happen more often.
But they haven't.
All those teams, because all the teams that they thought, oh man, we're gonna make so much money when these teams play each other, sucked for fucking 20 years. Like the Maple Leafs were awful forever, right?
That's what I'm
and
saying.
then when they finally, like, but then you did get the Toronto Boston series, but you haven't gotten like the things that they were hoping for. We never really got. We never got a Battle of Ontario because Ottawa and Toronto were both fucking ass.
Yeah.
Montreal was ass, so we didn't, you didn't get like as much like Montreal, Boston as you used to get. Like back in the and the thing that to me is where like, if I hate the wild card, like I don't really care what the playoffs are. I'll watch the playoffs regardless of how you line it up, right? But to me, I think the wild card's where they fucked it up. Like, yes, and obviously, if you had a shit division and 4 teams make it and the other teams don't make it because there's no wild card, I understand that's not good for the game either. But like, at least if you're gonna go divisional because you want all these divisional matchups, then make it so there's fucking divisional matchups in the first round.
Yeah, they
right?
Something
Like,
needs to change. I'm sorry. There's no fucking way Dallas and Colorado should be seeing each other in the first round. It's just too good of a matchup.
Yeah,
but,
it sucks.
All right.
But Dallas Edmonton's also pretty like one of the like if Edmonton can get healthy again, like I don't think anyone wants to see one of those teams go, which is what would be this right now.
Well, and seeing if they switch back to if they not back, but if they switch.
No, I mean, well, if you were 1 versus 8, you'd have Dallas Edmonton in the first round.
True 1 versus 8, wouldn't that be Dallas Minnesota?
Yeah, but it would never be true 1 versus 8. It would never be. Vegas would get the second seed because they are the leading team in the Pacific Division. So they would play Minnesota, Dallas would play Edmonton, Colorado would play Los Angeles.
I hate that part of it.
No, but that's what the league would do, right? Like,
yeah,
and that's why I always argue. It's like when people are like, oh, well, we got to go back to, but it was never. This was the way it always was.
Like if you play in a shitty divisions, like you're
remember
already
when there's 9 divisions. The Southeast Division, their division leader would make the playoffs because they won the division, or they would have missed the playoffs entirely.
Okay, we're gonna have to do this during the off season. I feel like this would be a really fun thing to go to. Like everybody presents their plan.
I don't care what they do. Like I don't care.
No, it's like I'll put a plan together. You
Sure.
the puck guy. Everybody can. But
all right. Yeah, we can do that.
All right.
Yeah, I do want to make clear for the listening audience though. Like the only reason I do this is because one, like if I just sat here, smiled and nodded at everything you said, what the fuck am I even here for?
Oh, of course.
Right? Like I really don't care. Like, because I think people think like I'm passionately defending the division. I don't care. I'm just giving you the reason as to why it is.
Dude, I get it, man. It's fine that you're the only one that thinks you're right. It's fine.
It's not that I think I'm right. I'm just telling you the logic behind it. Like, I don't, again, like the playoffs are good because of the playoffs. It doesn't, you could change the playoffs and change the seeding and everything else. It wouldn't matter. It's still the fucking playoffs.
The Sharks still aren't in.
The Sharks still, right? Yes. The Sharks still aren't in, but the playoffs are great because of the playoffs. Like, I do find the idea where it's like, oh, but it would be better if wouldn't it be the fucking same? Because the playoffs are great because of the playoffs. Once the puck drops, none of that shit matters anymore.
Speaking of a guy who, he's the only one who thinks he's right, Tortorella got fired. Where do you think he ends up?
So it's interesting because obviously he had mentioned that this was his last go around. Like he's getting up there in age, right?
But did he mean like just in the East?
No, I think he thinks this is his last. I think he thinks that this was the last go around. But it's hard, right, to walk away from something you've done for so long. I wonder if a team like Boston throws a shit ton of money at him and tries to get him to come back to coach again. Because I think like that's the kind of team where I think like,
hey, dude, hockey loves their retreads.
Well, hockey loves the retreads, but I think if you're the Bruins, like I don't think the Bruins are ever going to be a team that ever truly rebuilds. So if you're trying to get one more squeeze of juice out of whatever they have there, like isn't John Tortorella the guy you bring in?
It's going to be a lot of fun to see if they can get him to go again. Because I'll tell you, the last time he saw the door, he I don't know, he kind of had that look on his face like, I'm done with this shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know,
He
you
always
put
looks
enough.
like he's done with this shit.
Yeah, well, to be fair, you're right. That's but the whole thing is, you know, once you put enough zeros on a check, all of a sudden you're kind of like, yeah, no, I think I'd take a look at that.
Yeah, like I just wonder if a team like, because I think if you're the Boston Bruins, like, isn't that the play? If you refuse to actually, you know, start tearing it down. I mean, you just signed Jeremy Swayman for 8 years for $1 bajillion.
Yeah. Good Lord. All right.
I don't know. That would be my, off the top of my head, who I would, if I'm that team, that's the team that I would call John Tortorella.
All right.
No Sharks fans, I would not call John Tortorella.
No. Fuck out.
I want him nowhere near this fucking team.
He probably doesn't want to be anywhere near the Western Conference.
I don't think he wants to be on. I don't think he wants to be on a rebuilding team either.
No. Utah continues to understand the assignment.
Yes.
Earlier today, Ryan Smith tweeted out that it's like, following up, SEG is all in on growing hockey in Utah and doing it fast. To get it started, SEG will donate up to $500,000 per rink on up to 20 new rinks. They're going to have out of the box plans.
What's that, $10 million?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And so, like, in one hand, I go, this is so great. You know, obviously the more sheets, the better and everything like that. On the other hand, I look at that and I go, $10 million isn't a whole lot when it comes to, you know, building.
I don't know how much it costs to build in Utah.
I mean, yeah, but he was talking like out of the box that other cities, municipalities could potentially use these plans. And so if they want to build something in, you know, fucking Idaho or somewhere, or a neighboring state.
Yeah. I mean, this is why this right here is why whenever anyone tells you that, oh, these Sunbelt teams are so stupid. No, they're not, because this is what the teams always do. They build fucking rinks. Yes, being in the area is important, but they build rinks where people can play, and then other people start playing, and that's how you build a fan base. Yeah, okay. You know what? Maybe you're first, and this is why also, like, the way that the NHL does expansion now is way smarter than it used to be, because you're not just destined to be fucking horrible for a decade. Right? Like,
well, we'll see what happens with the remaining decade of the Kraken, but go ahead.
Well, but the Kraken, but I think the Kraken, you know, but the Kraken did they went about things very differently, right? Yeah. And Vegas, it'll be hard to ever replicate what Vegas did.
You'll never be able to.
Right. Like that's an impossible standard, I think, to hold expansion teams to. But like the Seattle Kraken did kind of go about it the old way, and I think it'll be interesting to see what the next expansion team does. To see that they try and thread the needle there to try and be somewhere between Seattle and Vegas. Because I look at what Seattle's done. I think, like, I like a lot of what Seattle's I've liked a lot of Seattle's drafts. But obviously now it's going to be like these players need to start transitioning and becoming players, right? And I think that's going to be that's what we need to start seeing now, because I think now we're going to start getting into the range where it's like, okay, a lot of people really like these drafts when they happen, but how good were they really?
Well, I like seeing Utah do this, making an investment, but the one thing that I would like to see somebody come along and kind of admit, like, I'm all for, like, hey, put some money into this. Let's build more sheets.
That's the important thing, because you want to. It's not just getting people into the building. It's getting people playing. It's getting people to pick up sticks.
And so
that's how you build fans.
And my point is, maybe they could have taken some of that money and also, or whether it's a different group, maybe go into some areas where, because look, hockey is the most expensive sport to play. So maybe you figure out a way to, like, subsidize some of that, get kids or parents that, you know, don't have an endless stream of money coming out of their pockets with kids that want to play, and say, hey, you know, okay, we're going to, you know, you find sponsorships or whatever, we're going to cover the equipment for these kids.
You know what, though? But you know what the most expensive thing is? It's ice, dude. It's ice time. That's the killer, which is why you want to, like, that's why you want to build as many pads as you can that you can support, obviously, because the most expensive thing is ice. And if you don't have enough of it, then it just, you know, the supply and demand just kind of makes the ice more expensive. And that's what keeps kids that's what fucks families the most is ice time.
Yeah. No, I hear you. All right. So you shared with us in the group that the NHL and Rogers have agreed to a new Canadian TV deal, 12 years, 11 billion Canadian.
Yeah, so 7.7 US, I think it works out to right now.
More than twice the current deal. Owners vote this week, which when I saw those numbers, which are just, obviously like, holy shit. Two things.
Yeah, considering, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say two things popped in my head. First off being, it's fascinating when you juxtapose it with RSNs completely dying in America.
Mm-hmm.
And then, holy hell, does the NHL love to sign decade-long deals?
Well, I mean, if someone's going to give you 7.7 billion US for that long, like you got to remember, the US television deal is not even $1 billion.
That's what it's like. I was just blown away by this. And now, obviously, you're going to know about this. I know fuck all about this. So, this Canadian TV deal with Rogers, does that mean that like Rogers is basically like the exclusive rights holder for hockey in Canada? Like it all goes through
games.
Rogers?
Yeah. So for national games, for NHL TV, all of that is Rogers collects all the money for that. So NHL TV will continue to be on Sportsnet Plus, and then the national games, like obviously, like you still have like TSN has. I think a third of the Leafs games, and they also are the regional rights holder for, I believe, the Winnipeg Jets, and I want to say the Ottawa Senators are both TSN regionals. So like there's going to be games like still on some other channels, obviously, and I'm assuming that with this Sportsnet deal that they're going to continue selling the Monday game to Amazon for whatever to try and recoup some of this money, which seems to be, I would say, Biz has been more popular up here than not. But I think like to me, the only thing that sucks is I think TSN does a better job. I think TSN's production's better. I like the TSN, like their trade deadline, and free agency. Like I think TSN does a lot better of a job with those. But my fear going into this deal was like that there were going to be multiple rights holders again in Canada, because I'm honestly surprised that Sportsnet not only re-upped it on their own, but re-upped it at such an increase in price.
I mean, woof. Thomas in the chat is Malcolm Celebrini. I think you meant Macklin, but Celebrini still winning the Calder. We talked about that 20 minutes ago. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to rewind it.
So I'm glad that it didn't go like multiple ways, obviously, because like you always, anytime you get multiple things involved, right? Like we were talking about this last week where it's like, oh, well, if you want to watch, like if you have to have YouTube TV, and if you don't have YouTube TV, you have to do this or that. And like,
you need Peacock or Hulu.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I don't like, I'm glad that all I'm going to have to do to watch the Sharks is subscribe
turn on
to
the TV
now.
Yeah.
Right. Or Sportsnet Plus. Like that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to subscribe to Sportsnet Plus. And the only possible time where I would have to fly the pirate flag is if for some reason the Sharks played the Leafs or Senators on TSN. Then I'd be screwed and have to fly the pirate flag for that. But other than that, like there'd be no reason why I couldn't watch the game, right?
Yeah. Well, and like I said, if you're going to keep making fans jump through different hoops, don't be pissed off when like a solid amount of your viewers are Jack Sparrow.
I think like I was watching a guy, I think it was a Boston radio guy, just like going off. It was like on awful announcing or something, and it was a Boston radio guy just going off about like the hoops he has to go to make sure that he can watch all of the Red Sox games.
So and I'm ridiculous.
To me, right, like would I have preferred TSN, provided TSN like let Hockey Night in Canada still do Hockey Night in Canada? Like that I think would have been the ideal solution for me. Like I'd like TSN to come back and get the rights. So I think they just do a better job.
Mm-hmm.
And like fucking TSN has a Roku app. Like Sportsnet Plus doesn't have a fucking Roku app. I have to like stream it from my phone. It's bullshit, man. I hate it.
First world problems.
It makes me, first world problems, right? Like, oh no, I have I have to stream it from my phone, which is just fucking dumb. Like, who doesn't have a Roku app these days? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but you know what though? I do want to just take a second to point out, like, I remember a world where it was like the Sharks games, if they were playing at home, it was on Sportsnet, which you had to pay for, but if they were playing away, it was on KIC U36, which you got for free, basically over the air.
Man. Yeah, like because of where I live, dude, like it was so awesome growing up, man, because like we had channels from like, because being where I'm, for those that do not know where I live in a small northern Ontario city called Sault Ste. Marie. It is basically on the border with the upper peninsula of Michigan. So for me, man, like I had Leaf games, I had Montreal games, I had Senators games when they finally came. I had the Red Wings, like, because again, like all these weren't on RSNs, they were just on channels that you would just get with your cable package. So Red Wings, Sabres, like I was spoiled, man. Like I had so many regional games to choose from because you just had all the channels, and then obviously the RSNs came in and changed all that. But
that was the funny thing though, is it was the idea of wait a minute. I remember the hoopla that was danced around. I want to say, was it 899 somewhere in there, that it was like this season 72 out of 82 Sharks games will be televised. That was a big deal, right? And then I remember like a year or so later, it was a big fucking deal. The entire season will be televised. And then a few years later,
Mickey Mouse League.
Oh, I'm telling you. But it was, I want to say like an 02 or 03 or something like that. It was the big, is all 82 games will be televised and 7 will be in high def.
Yeah.
And so, it's just funny that 20 years later we're bitching, or it's like, what do I have to do to get this on my phone? This device that didn't exist 20 years ago.
Like the dude in Boston was like, well, if I want, if I want Nesson, but I'm not like, and the problem is like, obviously if you're a cord cutter, right, that's where it gets super fucking annoying.
Yeah. But
it's like, oh, I want YouTube TV, but if I do it, but if I do Fubo, then I can't get the NBA, so it's got to be YouTube TV, and then Nesson, and then Apple TV or whatever the fuck. And it's
but 25 years from now, it's like, what are you going to be? What do you mean I can't watch it on the digital implant under my eyelid?
Right.
You know what I mean? All right. This came out earlier today, and I'm just like, fuck, here we go. So the headline is ticket fees. Scalpers targeted in latest Trump executive order. And evidently he had to have Kid Rock standing next to him in the Oval Office when he signed it. Because, you never pass up a fucking photo op, right, when you can get it. Jesus Christ. But the whole thing is, it says the order will direct the Federal Trade Commission to work with the Attorney General to ensure that competition laws are enforced in the concert and entertainment industry. It aims to enforce the BOTS Act and promote its enforcement by state consumer protection authorities. And essentially it says the order is expected to ensure price transparency at all stages of ticket purchasing processes, including through the secondary ticketing market, and will evaluate and, if appropriate, take enforcement action to prevent unfair, deceptive, or anti-competitive conduct in the secondary ticket marketing, blah, blah, blah. To me, all of this just sounds like it's completely performative. And the thing that really gets me is Ticketmaster still going to be operating as the monopoly that it is? Yes. Then nothing is going to fucking change.
Well, that's it, right? Like, I think this sucks. Like, the secondary scalping sucks, obviously, and people like scooping in and just buying it. And like the secondary market, but I don't know how you regulate that. I don't know how you enforce that.
Well, like, how is it that Ticketmaster... How is it that Ticketmaster actually owns a secondary ticketing site? You know what I mean? Like, Ticketmaster, it's like,
yeah.
you know, it's like, let's get at this disease where it has originated, and that's Ticketmaster. Like, when they come in and say, you know what, you're a fucking monopoly, you need to be broken up. Because I grew up in a time where there was Ticketmaster, but there was also Bass Tickets, and there was, I think, at least one other ticketing outlet. And depending on what the show was, who the promoter was, what the venue was which way you went and got your tickets. And sometimes shows would go on sale at the same day, same time. Fuck, what show do I want to go to? You know, if I'm going to go to one, well, this one's a better price. It's at a closer venue or whatever. Boom, I'll go to that one.
Yeah.
This whole
I think like
Ticketmaster thing, give me a break.
Ticketmaster sucks. Like, you know, like Ticketmaster sucks. I think it compared to all the other stuff, like this seems pretty okay. Like this is something that should probably be tackled. I don't know how much teeth this thing will have. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I mean,
I don't think the words have ever been uttered. This sounds like a job for Kid Rock.
Well,
you
no,
know,
although I don't think there's any.
Chris calling it out says Ian gets paid 25% less because he's been taking advantage of Teal Town, treats us very unfairly.
I do. Yeah.
All right. Speaking about getting treated unfairly.
Ooh, Barracuda.
Oh boy. There we go. All right. Well, thought we almost broke something. That was cool. All right. So the Barracuda somehow moved up to 5th during a really bad week. So goes to show you how bad the rest of the week was for the rest of the league. 1 of 6 points this week. San Diego, because you know it's Wednesday, so you play San Diego.
You play San Diego. That's the law. It's a law.
4-3 overtime loss. You get 2 helpers from Potsy, unable to hold the lead twice. And Carrier stops 22 of 26. So you're going, well, at least we don't see San Diego on any more fucking Wednesdays this season. At least there's that.
That's true.
But Abbotsford happened.
Yeah.
Somehow, I mean, this was such a deja vu. Like the Cuda allow 5 straight before scoring a single goal that came from Joey Keane. And mercifully, Carrier yanked after allowing 3 goals on 10 shots.
Yeah.
Dell steps in, saves 29 of 31. The unfortunate part being Potsy left in the second with a lower body injury. Last look, we're not sure when he's coming back. Then you have the 5-1. Oh, that's right. They lost 5-1 twice. This time, the Cuda only allowed 4 goals before getting on the score sheet. And Carrier got to play 2 more minutes before getting the hook. So, look,
rough outing.
I mean, how do you even put that weekend into context?
Well, here's the problem, right? This is the problem the Barracuda had this week are the problems they had all last year. The Sharks have been just a walking ambulance, and they've completely pillaged the blue line. Like there's probably ECHL teams with a better blue line than the Barracudas skated out this week. I would say it's fair to say, and I think it's like this. Like I think Gabe Carrier has done some good things this year, but like this is a good time to also point out like he's the 3rd goalie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is he there if Askarov is healthy? No.
Right, that's what I mean, right? Like no, like if Askarov's healthy, but I'm glad you brought that up because Askarov has been fucking he's going to skates. He's gonna start skating soon. He's gonna start doing stuff soon for like I feel like a month now. Is he going to start skating soon? Is soon this year? How soon is soon?
How soon? What's the song? How soon is now?
How soon is now? Yes, how soon is now? That's what I want because like this is starting to like doesn't this kind of feel like Logan Couture? He's gonna skate soon, guys. He's gonna skate soon. He's coming. I promise. He's coming. Oh no, he shut down for the year. Like that's what I'm waiting for at this point because like I feel like he's been almost ready to do stuff. He's gonna start practicing next week, maybe next week soon. Like
he's almost close to being back.
He's almost close. Yeah, like I don't know, man. And look, and again, like I'm not I'm glad that people like Pashelka keep asking the fucking question, but he keeps getting the same answer, and I wish that they would push back a little fucking harder at this point, because like
The teal curtain is strong.
this is starting to feel a lot like Logan Couture last year.
Fuck.
Doesn't it though?
A little bit. Yeah. A little bit.
And like I don't like, so it like the Barracuda, like yeah, like none of these games were good. These games were you want to talk about not having fun. The Barracuda are a team that's having absolutely no fun right now. And you know, like the only benefit they have is that the Sharks will be done playing before they are.
Oh.
As if the Sharks don't break any more of their guys.
Yeah, no shit.
Right? Like,
and John Swenson pointing out Askarov might be on the lunar calendar.
So I don't know, man. Like I'm frustrated because like I feel like the Askarov question, the answer has been the same for like a month now. And now I'm starting to just like, because we've followed this team for long enough that
it would be
now
really
I'm starting
funny.
to be a little pessimistic about it.
No, it'd be funny. Pashelka comes in there like, oh, dude, he comes in hot off the top rope. So what's happening with Askarov? Where's the definitive report on that? Well, you know, he looks close to being almost there. And then I want to see Pashelka goes, okay, and how's McCarthy's contract looking? And immediately they'd be like, yeah, Askarov's going to be back in 10 days.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think like not a great result for the Barracuda, but again, like I think that like as hard as I have been on this team at certain points this year, like you have to call it out for what it is. You're playing your third goalie or your fourth goalie when you put Aaron Dell in, and the Sharks have stolen your blue line.
Well,
like what do you like? You know what I mean? At the worst possible time. So for the Barracuda now, like obviously, like they've gotten Cagnoni's gone back down. I think who else went back down with him?
Giles.
Oh, Giles. So whatever, who cares? But Cagnoni goes back down. That helps the blue line a little bit. But then Jack Thompson goes back up. So again, like your blue line is
six of one, half a dozen of the other.
yeah. Like it's not good.
I mean, you lose a right-handed D, but you get back your power play quarterback.
Correct. And like so. It's hard to overly beat up on the team given that like again like I think there are ECHL teams that have better blue lines than the Barracuda do right now, and that sucks, right? And I again like I would fire John McCarthy into the sun after the season, because this team, in my opinion, if they don't play 500 hockey forever since November, whatever the fuck it was, like you have piled up enough points where you're kind of like, okay, yes, injuries suck, but we can weather this storm. Whereas now their remaining schedule isn't easy. Ontario, Calgary, Coachella,
it's everybody ahead of them,
right? And they have to basically hold on to enough points to not fall out of the playoffs, and they have to hold on until the last weekend against Calgary when they will get all their players back.
Yeah, it's the next six of they have 8 games left. 6 of them are against teams ahead of them in the standings. So it's a very tough schedule. Good news, Askarov and Beestead are almost close to being ready to practice.
Maybe.
Yeah. We'll
this year,
see.
maybe next year, we'll see.
Dude, I would just Mark Stone him. Like, just keep him out until playoffs, right?
Well, and maybe that's what they do. But like, I don't know, man. Like, I just again though, like, but it's concerning, isn't it?
Oh, dude, I hate that. You know what was really funny is that I remember on Wednesday, I think there was somebody had asked about like Thrun or Gregor or something like that, and funnily enough, at the when I was bopping around at the Toronto game, I ran into both Gregor and Thrun upstairs, and I could see both of them. And I'm like, these guys look fun. Like they look. You can see it on their face. They're like, we should be playing. And so I posted that. I'm like, dude, Thrun looks ret to go. And then the next morning, it's like, Thrun's out here on the ice. Looks like he'll come in. And I was like, I told you, motherfucker. We have a super chat from John Swenson. Say, thanks for the Hawaiian shirt. Still need to hit at least one of the last Barracuda games. Wonder how many players they will get back for the playoffs if they make it. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
It depends on who's broken.
Yeah, no
Right,
kidding.
like because the Sharks have just been like just destroyed by injuries. They've already used all their call-ups. All their call-ups now are emergency call-ups. So that's the other thing that
Oof.
kind of sucks about it too, right? Is because they've had to use so many. They've used all their call-ups. So you can't unless someone on the forward group, which the forward group seems to be surviving just fine. But if you want to see a guy like Gushin or Bordelot or whatever get a shot to end the season, like someone has to get hurt for that to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So
and-
they're going to get back their blue line. They'll get Colin Graff back.
All right. Oh, and John, if you make it, I will be at the final 2 Barracuda games. So if you want to say hi, let me know. Wear that Hawaiian shirt. You won it, fair and square. So this week, the CUDA host Ontario midweek, not San Diego. That's weird. Then the CUDA will play a pair next weekend in Colorado against the top team in the division with the Eagles. So it could, I mean, and Ontario's what, second in the division? Like
Last I checked, they're first or second. I'd have to go.
No, Colorado's definitely number 1. So I think Ontario's 2. But either way, it's like
Ontario's 2.
So well, doesn't this look like it has the makings to be another hell of a week?
Yeah, the only thing that really is
sing it with me now, Ian. Everything is awesome.
Everything is the only thing that's like working in the Barracuda's favor right now is like everyone below them isn't playing winning hockey other than the goals, and I don't think the goals can climb back into this thing.
Well, they could if they were playing the CUDA every Wednesday.
That's true, but that's over. Those free points are over. So like the teams that are chasing the Barracuda are not playing winning hockey right now. The Bakersfield Condors are 4-5-1. The
Henderson's a shit show.
Yeah, Henderson's an absolute shit show. But that's what happens when your team is competitive and you trade prospects all the time. The Tucson Roadrunners have 3-7-0, and even the Calgary Wranglers are 2-7-1 in their last 10. So I mean, not a lot of winning hockey happening behind them, thankfully, which is the only thing kind of working to their advantage. But again, like the only thing separating number 8 from the number 8 Tucson Roadrunners from the number 5 Barracuda is what, 8 points?
Yeah. And like we just talked about, the CUDA are on target to have a really bad week.
And it's not, like I mean, they're gonna have to really button things up. Gabe Carey has to be better, or Aaron Dell has to be better, which if that's how we're gonna get out of this, I don't like it.
Well, follow Tealtown USA, Ian Reed, Sharks Jules, Kevin Lacey on Twitter for those tweets and occasional gifts during most Barracuda games. For the Sharks this week, the Sharks will play at Anaheim tomorrow before hosting Edmonton and Seattle. And so the Ducks, 6th in the division, but they do have a winning record at home somehow. They've won 2 of their last 3. So, I don't know. The Sharks, I never know what you're going to get. You're going to get that team that kept answering the bell versus Toronto. Or what was the other game a couple weeks ago where they oh my God, was it Toronto? Like they were down 2 goals, rallied back. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I guess if they just play teams that wear blue and white, they have a chance. Didn't they beat Tampa in Tampa at the beginning of the year? It was like Tampa, New Jersey, back to back.
Maybe. I want
to say it was Tampa, New Jersey.
I don't want to play Tampa. They don't want to play Tampa right now. Tampa's been on an absolute.
Oh no. But I mean, at the time, it was like, So it was like, talk about beating a team you have no business beating. So the Ducks are there. The Oilers, 3rd in the division. We mentioned it earlier, fighting LA for home ice in the first round. They've lost 2 of their last 3, but they also had Draisaitl missing a run of games.
Yeah, McDavid's not playing. I think Stuart Skinner's not playing. So there's some injury issues in Edmonton right now. But Draisaitl's back and he's scored. He was the first player to hit 50 goals, which is awesome. You love to see it. Just not against the Sharks, obviously. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see Edmonton if they get McDavid back or not, because I think that again they're a team that they want home ice.
Well, and they're the only team that has something to fight for coming against the Sharks this week. Then you have the Kraken, 7th in the Pacific Division, 4-4-2 over the epitome of 500 hockey.
Yeah, they're eliminated too, so they're playing for nothing as well.
Yeah. But they're horrible away from Climate Pledge. They're 14, 21, and 1.
Yeah.
So it's fa. Yeah, I mean, if you look at those numbers, you're like, oh, okay, I could potentially see the Sharks going 1-1 and 1. And so
yeah, I don't want to see them. I just want lose, but don't lose. Like, it'd be fun again.
Don't lose like you got spanked over this past week.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's
I can see them going 1-1 and 1. I really want them to go like 2 and 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like lose to the Ducks, lose to the Oil, and then like get an overtime point versus the Kraken.
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't. They need to lose out.
That at least to ensure what's happening between them and
they
Chicago.
Need to lose out. You want the best lottery odds, right? I hate this. Like, I hate being that guy now, but like, we're in the last fucking whatever.
The last 2 weeks.
Right?
Well,
like,
and it would be really funny too, is because when is Chicago not going to play before the Sharks? So it'd be really funny to let's be like, all right, the Blackhawks win today, boys. Oh, they won? Okay, so you're allowed to get 1 point. So, the Blackhawks lost? Oh, go out there, lay an egg, boys. Lay a very entertaining egg.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, right? Like, at this point, I just want to get to the playoffs, man. Like, I hate this playing out this string nonsense.
Yeah, dude, I tell you, trying to fill out like the rundown sheet where you're like, I'm just scrambling for topics at this point.
It's hard.
It's just
hard,
nothing worth talking about at this point.
Yeah.
My one final note is oh my God. Okay, Puck Guy will know. You might as well. Tara Sloan retweeted oh my Lord, what is the woman's name? I want to say like Sarah Sivian.
Yeah, she's the Carolina. She used to write for The Athletic for Carolina, I believe.
Oh, I thought it was Minnesota. Oh, okay.
No, Hurricanes for sure.
Okay.
She used to cover the Hurricanes. I can't remember where. I think it was The Athletic. I'm not sure.
Okay. So anyway, I believe it was Sarah tweeted out. It was I want to say it came from the PWH. Well, no, it might not have. I think maybe it just came from NHL proper. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was a video where it was like it had a photo of the female coach in Seattle.
Okay.
And then it had a photo of a female hockey player, and then I believe a photo of a different female hockey player. But the point of the whole promotional video was it would show the photo, and then it would slide down into the comments, and it would just be unnecessarily, stupid misogyny, right? Stupid. What NHL team does she play for? One of it was the woman who they had a woman was it like a shootout or something at the last All-Star game? There was some
it was Saturday night or something, wasn't it?
I can't remember. And that's not to say that like I'm I'm a man, so I don't follow the PWHL. It's like, no, it has nothing to do with that. It was that I don't watch the fucking All-Star game.
No, exactly.
You're right. The All-Star game is fucking pointless to me. Yeah. I don't care who's playing. You could have a dog out there. They could be Air Jordan or what was it? Air Bud? Was that the dog that they played basketball or whatever? So it has nothing to do with that. It was just the fact that they called out all this misogyny. And it was kind of like,
okay, there you go.
And it was like, and the basic point of the message was, we've done a lot. We have a long way to go. And I was like, yes, but I'm like, you're kind of like, when you go into the swamp and you pull out, like, what did you expect? You know what I mean? It was like, it would be like going fishing and expecting to catch, I don't know, a bird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you went on social media and expected people to be nice. Like, what's wrong with you?
I know. Social media is such a fucking gong show now, man. Like, I don't even like. I try to keep an eye on it because obviously people want to interact with us, and obviously I want to, take care of those people.
Mhm.
But man, if I don't have to be on social media, I am absolutely not. I wish I could
Right.
put it all together, but like there's just the problem is, right, is that that's how you find out about news, right? It's on social media. That's how we get our news now.
Oh,
For
I
better or for worse.
loved me some Twitter circa 2009.
You know, but
Twitter was great back then.
unfortunately, yeah, like it's just unfortunately it's such a and there's just nowhere better, right? Like I don't like I'm on Blue Sky, but like really like
That hasn't
I
caught fire.
well, you know, here's the problem, right? Is like I think it's fine. Like if your politics are liberal politics, which mine are, like I'm not gonna lie, like my politics are very liberal. However, that's not why I go on social media, right? And I think if your jam is just liberal politics, then Blue Sky's fucking amazing. But if you want to talk about anything else, kind of sucks,
Mm.
right? It's like it's not that so it's like yeah, so like it's like obviously I obviously I don't like politics that I don't like because that's how this works. But like I also don't like politics that I do agree with because that's not why I go on social media. It's not like I hate how every time something's cool and a bunch of people adopt to it, it always just eventually devolves into this political cesspit, and it's just not why I use social media. And I know that's the and look at and some people are like, oh well, it must be nice, you know, not to have any problems, Mr. White Male. And you're probably right, but that's me, and I'm not going to apologize for that. Like I don't want to argue about politics and waste my time on social media doing that.
I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but I do think it's funny that you say that because I just started watching the show on Max called The White Lotus, and at one point a mother that has a son and a daughter goes, you know, you have to take it easy on your younger brother. It's a really hard time to be a straight white male. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, who the hell wrote that dialogue?
Really
and I'm like,
let me be the first to tell you this. It's very easy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, last time I checked, pretty fucking simple.
Pretty simple.
You know, easy waters to navigate. Let's take this last one before we get out of here.
Yeah.
Nando saying, just rejoining the chat. What are your thoughts? The Sharks finish last. Hawks win the lottery. We either get Schaefer or Miso, and the Hawks are out of contention to win another draft lottery for 2 years.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
that's his, wet dream scenario, and I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either. Look at I think again, Matthew Schaefer. I'm not going to say Nolan Schaefer. Fuck sakes, get Nolan Schaefer out of your brain again. Matthew Schaefer would be would fill a nice need for the Sharks, and I think the Sharks would be ecstatic to have him. But like Michael Misa, now that like we're starting to get into final rankings and stuff, like Michael Misa has really climbed with a lot of people. Where like it feels like a lot of the lists now are kind of
Leaning his way.
torn. Well, they're not leaning his way. But I think like for a while,
Schaefer isn't the de facto number one.
Correct. Yeah. Like it feels like it's becoming more of a conversation, which I think it should be. Again, I think with the crop of players in the top 4, I would be ecstatic if the Sharks got any one of them. Absolutely ecstatic.
Yeah. And if they can finish in the top 2, I mean, you're going to end up with a pretty solid player. The other thing being, from what I understand, or at least some of the stuff that I've read, Chicago not like hands down looking for defense. Like their pipeline defensively they're okay with it. It's
pretty sound. They need someone to play with Bedard. So
exactly.
So even if they do win the lottery and they take Misa and we get Schaefer at 2, like that's not a terrible scenario. And then they've won the lottery twice. They can't win it for X number of years. It's pretty like. Again, like I'm not super fussed about this draft because I think that like there's 4 guys at the top, and I think Misa and Schaefer are starting to really pull away as like the 1-2 kind of interchangeable. But even to get one of the next 2 guys, to get a Porter Martone, to get a James Hagens, like it's a win-win-win-win. Like there's no way the Sharks can lose. The only way they can lose is if they did something fucking crazy, like reach for a guy like Eklund.
All right, Puck Guy with the last comment before we split. I believe this is for you. What is the home ice for the first round in the AHL Pacific Division first round? Are they all 3 in the higher seed, or could the CUDA host a playoff game if they are a 6 or 7 seed?
That's a fantastic question, and I am not sure. Let me see. I don't know how the playoff picture works. I don't remember how it works. I know there's a play-in round and it's dumb.
Well, while he covers that, I will share with you that tonight's beverage of choice, and this has been really good, is called Bunny with a Chainsaw. Don't ask me why, but that is Bunny with the. It was recommended by a friend, and so you know what? Not too shabby. No free ads, but solid choice.
None of this makes any sense. So I'm just trying to look at last year.
Well, I don't even understand. I don't even explain to me the fucking point system in the AHL because I don't even get that.
Well, 7 because the Pacific Division's dumb. So 7 teams make it. So there's a play-in round, right? Where it's dumb. So I'm trying to look at their playoff bracket. It's hard to make sense.
Say, puck guy, he's gonna have to answer that one offline. Ciao.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I should know this. I don't know.
All right. Well, we thank you so much for joining us on this odd Monday. Again, apologies for the frivolity yesterday. But hey, there was an After Dark. There was a game. We will be here next Sunday at a normal bat time, normal bat channel. As far as I know, there are no more Sunday Sharks games. Is that accurate?
That is not accurate. There is a game against the Flames on the 13th.
God damn it. Let me look this up. Game against the Flames on the 3rd on Palm Sunday. On Drew Remenda's birthday of all things.
Yeah. It is a 5 p.m. Pacific time.
Okay,
start.
so it's not one of those things where we're starting at 10 o'clock at night Pacific.
Correct.
Okay. So we'll be, on a half an hour later than normal because of the Sharks game. Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And we'll have a lot to talk about too, I hope, because as I said, I'll be at the 2 Barracuda games the days previous to that. But for next week, again, we'll be on normal bat time, normal bat channel next Sunday, 7 o'clock, like you're all used to. And with that, I mean,
3 games.
3 games. And any last words here before we cut out, or anything to who's on the show tomorrow?
I have no idea. Let's see. Look, it looks like it is Puck and Felix.
Hey now. So there you go. Enjoy them tomorrow, and remember, After Dark follows every single Sharks game, and we'll be back next Sunday. We give it to you, Stewie.
We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. I'm Stewie Griffin. Thanks for watching.